What's going on, guys? It's the Skylander dude, and it's time to show off my new unreleased Skylander custom, Tarclops. If you don't already know, Tarclops was created before Skylanders was even called Skylanders. Tarclops, or Cyclops Snail, was one of the original characters planned for Spyro's Kingdom. But as Spyro's Kingdom morphed into Skylanders, Tarclops' design was scrapped in the process. Though this guy wouldn't appear in the first Skylander game, most of his moveset was actually adjusted to fit with who we now know as Zap, hence why we're starting with him as the base. Also, Zap Spyro's Adventure pose is the only water figure with this neat wave texture on the base that'll work perfectly for Tarclops. So I'm going to start with some aluminum foil as a base before working with the clay to keep the figure on the lighter side. I made a rough shape of his body and a separate piece that was to become his shell. Then I took some clay and started layering it over the aluminum foil body. You'll see me use a few different colors of clay, but the color doesn't really matter here as it's all going to get painted over anyway. After smoothing out the flatter bottom bit and letting it take the shape of the base, I moved on to his mouth. I just built up some lips with clay and filled in the gaps with individual teeth. I thought this would look atrocious, but Tarclops has a pretty simple smile and it actually came out pretty good. Then I flattened out a dot to resemble his eye and smoothed out some other bits around it to act as his eyelids or just some other wrinkles. Tarclops is literally just a blob, so I didn't have to make his body perfectly proportional and actually went out of the way to give him some more ripples and wrinkles. But then I baked his body and attempted to create a detachable shell. One of the concept artworks for Cyclops Snail features him with a shell. I wasn't sure if I liked him better with or without the shell, so I wanted to try and make the shell its own piece so I could attach or detach it whenever. That way I could get two versions of Tarclops in just the one figure. Unfortunately, I overestimated how the proportions of his shell appears to be, and no matter how hard I tried, it never looked like a shell. More like he's wearing a swimming cap. So I took inspiration from Toys for Bob's process and scrapped the idea of a shell. It looks great in the concepts, but if I wanted to have it on this figure, it would need to be a connected part as one whole figure. So I decided to leave it off this time. I can always make another. So I left the shell behind and started painting him up. I taped together a little handle on the bottom as that part doesn't need any paint because it's sticking right onto the base. And I started with his signature blue. Did about 5 coats of that paint until it was a nice vibrant color. Then I mixed that blue with some white to get a lighter shade and started to dry brush certain areas of the figure to give him some more depth. This way he's not just one solid blue and his highlights can be emphasized in the sculpt with this lighter blue. Once that was looking good, I thinned out some black paint to fill in the gaps of his teeth so any space left in his mouth would be left dark. Then I painted over his teeth, which made me wonder how this gross snail has such white teeth. I painted his eye white too, and actually went back into the teeth off camera with black to fill in these gaps. This once again adds some depth to the figure and makes it look less hand painted. One of the Tarclop prototypes that I based this figure off of actually uses a similar technique, and I like that result. But then it was time to give this man his iris. He's got that bright red eye, and I spent a long time trying to paint it a perfect circle. Once I was happy with the size, I went in with black for his pupil. Doing the same thing, keeping it nice and even, and then it was time to glue him onto Zap's base. And that's it! Here is the finished Tarclops custom figure. A fairly simple custom once we scrapped the shell idea, but it was good to make a figure completely out of clay as it's been a while since I've done so. Let me know how you think this turned out, and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Peace.